Howdy guys, so as promised I was going to do a video on some of this machinery that I built in the background from my previous build hacks video. Alright, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Having fun here. Obviously on creative, which I don't play on creative all that often. I rarely ever test things here, like I sometimes do, but not as often as I should. We have an excavator. So what I've done for these is I often go online, like on Google, and I look up excavator. And then I find an excavator that, I don't know, kind of reminds me of an excavator, like what my mind thinks of one. And in this case, it was a CAT 336S, I think. It was definitely a 336, anyway. But I guess they built this model for a number of years, so there are some variations. And I kind of look at it, and then I establish my scale. Okay, so I'll figure out how wide I want the machinery to be. Not so worried about length yet or anything like that. And I go boom, boom. Okay, so how wide do I want it? Do I want it even or do I want it odd? Just like I've been building Minecraft houses. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll have 4 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 to make 8. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is an even scale. That it sometimes behooves you to build it in odd scale, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But on this, it was like, yeah, we're going to do this one in even scale because I want to have this little bit of thickness down here to make it look like the substructure of the excavator. And if you look right up in there, you can see I kind of did like a swivel. It got messed up a little bit over there as I was building the cab, but and then so get the general shape down, right? Working with those treads was pretty cool. I used barrels, railroad tracks, grindstones, and andesite stairs. I really love andesite stairs for things. And this one's not super detailed yet. A lot of times I go through and put buttons on to make it look like rivets and things. But I really like the hydraulics, like the looks of those hydraulic beams, if you will. And then the swivel points using the grindstones. I love the grindstone block. What a wonderful addition to the game. And I'd say the bucket's a little oversized, but you have to make some sacrifices when you're building something because it's like, I really want it to look like a bucket. If I only did a 3 wide, well, you wouldn't be able to fit but, 2 teeth on it. And an excavator bucket would have at least a couple of teeth on it, geez. Yeah. So I went a little bit wider just to give it the effect of having those teeth. I used anvils for that. And I tried to do some details with like ladders. This looks like an exhaust pipe, like cooling grates, and the railings, which are prominent on that 336. And go ahead and look one up if you want and see how close this one came to it. And then we're talking about scale. So in real life, I'm actually a chainsaw carver. So I really love carving machinery. It's just, I do a lot with bears and eagles and all that sort of thing too. But I really like carving machinery because it forces you to really pay attention to details and like what can you omit and what can you not omit. On Minecraft, obviously, one of the major deterrents, major hardships is circles. Like, what do you do? Like, the only circle in the whole darn game is the bone block. I mean, it does have a circle in it, and these kind of do, especially when you press on. Watch when I see how it turns dark for a second. Well, you can't keep that look. So this is kind of a John Deere B. They really don't have a John Deere color, so that's why it's lime. But I mean, the scale on this one's quite small. So, like I say, you have to make sacrifices. And this would be another even scale thing. Fortunately, the seat is offset on many of these older tractors because you actually want to look down the line when you're plowing, and you don't want to be sitting in the exact center. You want to be offset so you can line up better. Let's get your 3-point hitch. Well, kinda. More like a 2-point hitch on this one. And your little rolly, corn picker front end wheels. It was a fun build. I wish I had more colors, and I really wish there were concrete or terracotta stairs. I mean, come on, guys. We need it. So next up, we have military, like Deuce and Half truck. Now, I'd like to go back and do a couple more things to this. I'd like to pull that front bumper out a little bit and extend the rear bumper out a little bit. But for demonstration purposes, this will work just fine. So we've got composters back behind this metal grill. These what are they, cauldrons. got a winch, which really they're just barrels up inside. This would be your winch opening. Like toe points, headlights. Kind of look like, maybe like a engine access or engine cooling thing. Mirrors, door handles, the steps, the fuel tanks. I really like the way this kelp blocks look. And then dual rear wheels, which is kind of difficult to get because you don't want to actually chop this all the way out and it just doesn't look right. So instead, I just, use stairs. I wish there were black stairs, but there's not. So that's the darkest color I can possibly get for tires. Mud flaps, like I said, I wanted to pull this rear bumper out one or two spaces just to give it a little less interference here, but eventually I'll get to that. And anvils stacked can make a pretty cool looking stack. There's your air intake, like your snorkel. And then for the bed, I used barrels. Now, barrels are tricky to place because you have to hold shift, and this being iOS tablet platform, you can't shift in air. So you have to land on something to shift, and then if you're facing the wrong way, you notice this little bit of texture change between this barrel and this barrel. It's because I placed these from this direction and I placed these from this direction. You'll get that on trap doors as well, especially the spruce ones. Really kind of interesting. I was able to do like a drive shaft. I mean, that looks like, why is that block there? That wasn't oops. So, you're using these grindstones for the universal joints on the drive shaft. You have a kelp transmission. And then for the front axle would have universal joints as well. This way you're able to steer, and that really looks like it. And one thing that these military trucks, especially the older ones, used to have was a PTO point on the front. So that way they could externally, like they could pull up to a generator or a pump and put a drive shaft to the front axle, hook it in, and then power it. Without actually, the truck's engine is running, but the truck's not moving. And it's got a nice little cab in here. And not much of a steering wheel, but at least it has a gear shifter. And seats. And then a couple of running lights, we just used clay pots. Yep, I like that one. That was a fun build. Next up, we have my van. Well, as close to my van as you can get on Minecraft. So I have a 1977 Dodge van that I've owned since I was a kid. And it has more miles on it than you'd probably believe. But this is about what it looks like. I'd say this turned out a little bit longer than mine is. Mine is a short wheelbase, whereas this looks more like a long wheelbase, but it's Minecraft. You have to make some sacrifices. And that's pretty close to the taillights. Got the ladder. Then on the interior, cabinets, the bed, the portal windows. It's even got the seats and the engine cover. And cup holders. See the bone block cup holders? A fun build. I tried a couple different things for the grill, and I finally settled on just these slabs. It was probably the closest that I could come. And of course, it's got the visor. I originally did that in like a prismarine, and it just didn't look right. So went back and changed it to stone. So this is actually this is a wrecker. I don't remember the specific model. I actually carved this recently for a customer that has one, and this one's a little bit different than his. His had more of a kind of pointy front end, but like I said, this is Minecraft. You may have to make some sacrifices, but I think it turned out pretty good. Now the scale on this one's actually quite small compared to like the van or the truck over there. I only talk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A 9 scale. So this is an odd scale, meaning that there's a center block running down through the middle of it, and that can be tricky. For the grill, I just used banners, and I dyed them in certain colors to kind of give you that external border around the whole thing. Really like that look. Headlights are just item frames with honeycomb in them. Got the front bumper with a little bit of a slit using stairs, and then. Not super happy with the way the fenders turned out, but I tried and like that's the best I could do. So it is what it is. Got the cab. The the lectern kind of looks like a steering wheel, kind of. Anyway, and then it's a wrecker, so I think it was a Holmes 440. I don't know. It was Holmes big wrecker on the back of the thing. You get your hook. The gates kind of look like cables. That's what I was going for there, with like a spool up here. I think there's spools on both sides. When I carved it, I only did the spool on this side because I couldn't find pictures of anything except for this side of the truck. And like every shot was from like this angle or something like that. You never ever saw this area. So it is what it is. And this is kind of like your scissor boom up here, hydraulic boom. Get your controls. Yep. They don't do anything, but they would. And it's an extendable boom. So in this position, it's actually extended some. It would be able to be tucked down, but I thought, it'd be kind of cool to have it extended. Beacons for lights. And then there's like, he had a light bar up here too, but I wasn't able to incorporate that. Smokestacks. Nice looking truck, and I really like it. That's probably my favorite one of the bunch, but this was the first one. Now, kind of playing around with, I wonder if I could build one of those. And trying for one of those big dump trucks, the excavator dump trucks. Not excavator, but mining dump trucks. You get bone blocks for lights. Done quite a bit with carpet to try to cover things up and make it look uniform. And the bed. Now, again, there's all kinds of different models of dump trucks like this. So you're going to have to pick one like you want to build and then just kind of go off of that and, get your idea, get your scale correct. On this, it's a pretty wide scale. It's not that long of a vehicle in comparison to how wide it is. Also, getting some depth built in, like for these tires and wheels, it goes in quite deep. So this way you can really kind of make it look like the rear wheels versus the front wheels. The front wheels not having nearly as much depth. And same with like the dually wheels. On this, sacrifices were made. This one's 2 and this one's 1. It just is what it is. The rear end, trying to make that kind of look like a circle in the rear end, in the rear pumpkin. And then I got stuck for, like, what do I do with the frame? I didn't want it all black and just hidden, so I just went with that because it looks kind of metal. This is their, I'm guessing their fuel tank. Either that or some sort of ballast tank to try to keep the weight down, but probably a fuel tank because I know they hold something like 1,500 gallons of fuel, some huge quantity of fuel. And I think they put that right in, at low down and in the center of gravity to keep the truck's weight as low down as possible, because really it's carrying a tremendous amount of weight well above the axle center line. And then the cab, they've got these little stairs that go up, and the cab sits to one side. Like, how do you even see this side of the truck? I don't know. They probably have cameras or something. But these were my Minecraft vehicle builds. Now I got a question for you. What would you like to see me build next? Because I'll do it. Just give me, like, what it is, and then maybe even pick out a model number so that I can get some pictures and go from there. But I had a blast building these, and I'd like to build some more. So, don't be afraid to send a comment there, guys. Also, like and subscribe and all that happy stuff. All right, thank you for watching so very much. And if you would, give me a thumbs up anyway. Have a good day, and happy Minecrafting.